Hey everybody, my name is Justin Chatarsa, and I'll be doing a critique on the television show Blackish. Blackish is an American sitcom starring Anthony Anderson, Tracee Ellis Ross, and Lawrence Fishburne that debuted on ABC on Wednesday, September 24, 2014. The show is about an African American family who live in an upper middle class neighborhood. The characters struggle with loss of cultural identity while dealing with the everyday problems of raising children. Anthony Anderson plays Andre Johnson, a father of 4 children and a husband to a mixed-race anesthesiologist. Anderson often finds his children straying away from stereotypical behavior, which causes him to stress about losing their cultural identity.
Tryouts are today, I want to be ready.
Lock down that point guard spot.
There's no point guards in field hockey, Dad.
Field hockey? My name is Andre Johnson. I have a great career, a spectacular house, and a loving family I'm surrounded by every day.
Hey, Pops. Son, can I just please get a little coffee in me before you start this morning?
Lately, I feel in order to make it, we've all dropped a little of our culture.
Hey, stop, Andy. Sup?
Andy? That's not even close to Andre.
I think it says I'm edgy but approachable.
I think it says I hate my father and I play field hockey.
So from this video, we get a little background information about Anthony Anderson in the TV series. He has 4 children who don't really have a good sense of African American culture because they live in a predominantly white neighborhood or an upper middle class neighborhood.
But as a black man with all this success, sometimes I feel like an oddity.
If you look to your left, you'll see the mythical and majestic Black family.
So now that we have a little background about the show, I want to talk about the title because the title was a little off-putting to a lot of people. Plus, the title itself is causing a lot of drama. Here's some YouTube comments that go back and forth on whether the title is inherently racist or if the title should be kept the way it is. It's just a whole bunch of controversy, and they haven't even seen the show yet. For me, Blackish is a conversation starter. It may make you feel uncomfortable at first, but Blackish addresses many of the situations and problems that our current generation is going through right now. So one of the problems it brings up in the show is whether or not it's right to spank your child or not.
He should be. It's terrifying. I mean, not for me. I'm too old to be spanked. I've aged out.
Where'd you hear that, Junior?
Well, I mean, I'm 13 now. That means I'm out of the whooping window.
Yeah, but you still have an ass, don't you? That means you're still in the window.
My research shows we have legal options. Emancipation, extrication, if all else fails, relocation.
Damn, Diane, I wish I had you when I divorced Grandma. Might have held on to my Lincoln.
You're just messing with me, right? I mean, nobody's gonna spank a 9th grader, right?
What's age got to do with it? I spanked your daddy when he came home from the summer from college. He was all, oh, I'm in college now. Listen to how smart my mouth is. I was like, pop!
Okay, come on, Pops. We all know no one spanks anymore.
Oh, and look who's sitting there all cocky thinking she's safe because she's a girl. Whooping don't care what you are. An ass is an ass is an ass is an ass.
Now, according to this article by BBC, America is a nation where 90% of all parents across racial and ethnic groups use corporal punishment at some point. But there's usually a divide between blacks and whites on what's deemed appropriate. So the show gives us a couple different perspectives about corporal punishment in a comical way so we can all relate to it. We have Lawrence Fishburne's character, who grew up in a different time period where corporal punishment was more usually accepted than it is today. And the children do not fear corporal punishment at all because they feel it's outdated for their generation. This could be, theoretically, because they grew up in a whiter neighborhood, that they don't feel corporal punishment because they were less likely to receive it than if they were in a black neighborhood. The show struggles with the balance of cultural identity within the characters. The children who grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood have no sense of cultural history, while their father struggles to explain their history to the children and tries to enforce it upon them.
Pops, you should have seen it. The boy just stared at him. No nod. Like his neck was broken.
Well, maybe something is wrong with his neck. Did you ask him? Something wrong with your neck, boy?
What? No, I mean, I don't think so.
So he did nod at somebody. I don't get what the big deal is.
Of course you don't. Look, babe, the nod is important. It's the internationally accepted, yet unspoken sign of acknowledgement of black folks around the world.
So thank you very much.
So no matter who you are or where you're at, it's your duty to give the nod. Even in the most extreme of circumstances, we always found a way to let each other know, I see you, bruh.
Dre, please do not turn this into yet another thing. The truth is that Junior's generation has a different perspective on the struggle than you and Pops. Can't you just let that be a good thing?
No!
Okay.
Bo, the nod is on the same primal level as a baby waving high.
That's right.
As a man scrunching up his face when a woman with a big butt walks by. Woo! Oh my God. You don't do that either? I have failed!
Pops.
I'm sorry, Junior. Much as I hate to admit it, my idiot son is right this time. This is basic stuff.
Even the butt thing?
Especially the butt thing. Basic black.
What? Wow. Thank you, Pops.
Oh, you're welcome, son. You did hear me call you an idiot, yes?
Yes, noted.
So even though moments like the last clip are supposed to be funny and comical, the real question is Blackish doing more harm than good? Are they setting stereotypes for the black community for white audiences watching ABC out there?
I'm Tracy Ellis Ross.
And I'm Anthony Anderson, and we're starring in the new family comedy Blackish.
How would somebody know if they're Blackish?
If you're into rap, if you love soul food, or just enjoy watching basketball, you might be Blackish.
What if somebody doesn't like those things?
Why would somebody not like those things?
I don't know.
So that last commercial could easily be interpreted as racist, as anybody who doesn't eat soul food or watch basketball isn't Blackish, but there's certainly African Americans out there that do not follow that stereotype at all. ABC, the network that plays Blackish, is owned by Disney, who's also owned by the chairman and chief executive officer Robert A. Iger. Iger's board of directors include Susan Arnold, John S. Shen, Jack Dorsey, Iger himself, Fred H. Langhammer, Alwyn Lewis, Monica Lozano, Robert Matschulit, Sheryl Sandberg, and Orrin C. Smith. Now, with a board of directors that contains only two minorities, one that's Asian and one that's black, we can assume that any messages that could be sent out through Blackish might not be sent out because the board is predominantly white. Even the management team at the Disney Television Group is predominantly white. There's a couple Asian minorities, but there's no black minority among them. This could further support the argument that Disney could control what the message behind Blackish would say to the general public, meaning enforcing stereotypes, giving the public a negative view upon what black people actually are. Now, in my own opinion, I don't think that's happening here. I think Anthony Anderson came up with an original show that portrays some aspects of his real life. And on top of that, it does discuss about race and ethnics, but it's a conversation starter, and you might not be comfortable with it again. But they do a great job on things. Like, for example, the corporal punishment episode, it expresses how African Americans actually sit and talk about whether they want to spank their child or whether they don't want to spank their child, where other shows, you might see that they just overlook that fact and they assume that African Americans might spank their child more because they're violent or aggressive, and that might play on the stereotypes of African Americans that we have today. The show even goes as far as to question black masculinity. While Anthony Anderson's character is giving the sex talk to his son, he prefers to have his shirt off. Now that's quite the opposite of what we think of when it comes to black masculinity. Usually we think more savage or violent or muscular or brute. Fear and intimidation play a big role when it comes to black masculinity. This image is what a lot of young African American males aspire to be to when they think of black masculinity. But Blackish doesn't try to set the stereotype on what black masculinity is, or doesn't try to be anything that it's not. Instead, Blackish just gives a perspective of how to talk to your children about sex through the lens of an African American man. Another issue that Blackish addresses is feminism and how women aren't appreciated in the roles that they play every day and all the hard work that they do.
Both have huge jobs, but when I come home from mine, from, saving lives and whatnot, I start a whole other second huge job. When you come home, you play video games.
Babe, that is ridiculous. That's the sound it makes when I get a work email.
You have lost this round. Playing time, 4 hours, 13 minutes. New record.
Okay, maybe I have a little problem.
Just a little bit.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, babe.
Mom?
Yeah.
I I forgot to tell you last week, but Jack and I need 2 dozen cupcakes for school tomorrow.
Yeah, that's 23 cupcakes.
Tomorrow? Oh, great. That sounds fun for me.
And be careful with the frosting. Last time you made some, you look like you did them last minute.
Yeah, you kind of phoned it in, Mom.
Did you even hear what she said?
Yes, she said, hey, Dad. Then she said something to you.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's like 1,000 invisible things that I do around here that aren't even on your radar.
Okay. Babe, I hear you. Let me tell you what. Let me handle all the kids' stuff this week, including whatever it is that Diane just said.
Really?
Yes, really.
That would be great. I could really use a break.
I know. You look tired.
I look tired, Dre?
Oh, look what's here in the paper. Your obituary.
Now, I said this deals with feminism and not black feminism because this is a situation where all women can relate to, where they feel underappreciated for all the work that they do. And it's not just for African Americans, but it's for every race. This is more like dealing with feminism with a woman that just so happens to be black. But what we can agree that the show does is start the conversation about feminism overall. Whether you agree that it is feminism and it's just a woman that so happens to be black, or if you actually think it's black feminism, it's important for this topic to be brought on the big screen. And with a network like ABC broadcasting it, people of all cultures will be able to appreciate this topic and be more aware of what's going on with feminism and the underappreciation. Now, one thing I found interesting was when Dre's talking to his son, he usually tries to push his black culture on him, or some of the stereotypes that go along with black culture onto his son. But when he gets his job as senior vice president, he gets more upset because those stereotypes are now being pushed onto him, and he feels like his job is more of a demotion now that he has to deal with the urban division. So in Dre's situation, he feels that he got this promotion because he was black. But then when he's asked, would you rather have a white person in the job, of course he takes more offense to it because how could a white person run the urban division better than a black person? So it's kind of a contradiction that he finds himself in there. Now the show's been getting a lot of comparison to The Cosby Show because they both include upper middle class African American families and how they react to situations when raising their children. Now The Cosby Show was a little bit different than Blackish. As you can see here, there's more singing and dancing, but that's not the only comparison that we can draw. The Cosby Show was more about a middle upper class family that just so happened to be black. Now, The Cosby Show also faced problems with race and stereotypes, but The Cosby Show was best at being quietly radical about these problems, and The Cosby Show also didn't throw race in your face like Blackish does. TV like The Cosby Show has proven its ability to attract diverse audiences which increase opportunities for wide exposure to black fathers or families. So we could argue that Blackish succeeds at providing a post-Cosby televisual look at black families in U.S. society, while revealing further angles with which to discuss issues of race, class, and viewer identification with these shows. Our culture has changed since the days of The Cosby Show, and a lot of it is because of The Cosby Show that our culture has changed. But there's rarely been any sitcoms about black American families in the upper middle class culture that has made the same effect as The Cosby Show since its air date. But I feel like Blackish has the potential to be a great show, and it can definitely start some conversations that us as an audience have trouble watching on TV. Blackish is even getting recognition in places that you wouldn't think African Americans would usually get recognition for.
Well, welcome back to the CMAs. Everybody, there's usually a show on Wednesdays, a new show that I've fallen in love with. It is so funny. And so if any of you tuned in to ABC tonight expecting to see the new show Blackish, yeah, this ain't it. In the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying Whitish. And with 4 nominations this year and already a winner tonight, our buddy Keith Urban.
So whether it's positive or negative talk, the point is that we're talking about it. And talking is just the first step to progressively solving the problem. Now, Blackish isn't going to solve the problem for us. That's for ourselves to figure out. But what it does is make us more aware of cultural perspectives on different subjects while we watch the show. And that's all you can ask for a TV show at this point.